High in the western Himalayas, the Hindu Kush and Karakoram ranges collide, a landscape of jagged peaks and creeping glaciers that appears to defy passage. At 4,300 meters above sea level, Karambar Lake sits at the edge of the habitable world. The air is thin, and the terrain resists human settlement at every turn. But the isolation of these heights is a mirage. For over 1,000 years, these mountains have functioned as one of Asia's busiest corridors for human movement. You can hear the evidence of this traffic in the villages today. Within this single geographic bowl, residents speak 4 entirely distinct languages: Shina, Khowar, Burushaski, and Waki. The explanation for this cultural density lies in the physical constraints of the mountain ranges themselves. This 3D topographical map shows Ghizer Valley enclosed by mountain walls. High-altitude passes like Shandur, Darkot, and Thoy puncture the rock, creating navigable gaps. These gaps functioned as geographic funnels. Armies traversing Central Asia were forced through these passes, converging directly into the valley's center. Moving thousands of troops or pack animals through freezing rock presents a lethal logistical problem. Travelers needed flat ground to rest and a reliable way to sustain themselves. This is where the landscape provides an opening. After miles of vertical terrain, the land flattens out, providing ribbons of arable land amidst the peaks. This specific combination of high-altitude funnels feeding into flat agricultural oases made large-scale human movement through this region a physical possibility. The water is the valley's primary asset. Glacial melt pools into reservoirs like Shandur and Kulti lakes, sustaining the agricultural life in the oases below. These deep waters provided a calorie-dense food source for travelers. The lakes are teeming with trout, a resource that helped sustain life where traditional farming is limited by short growing seasons. In winter, the survival mechanics of the valley shift. The lakes freeze solid, turning water bodies into flat ice highways that allow locals to travel between snowed-in villages. Because this valley contained the only reliable water and flat ground for hundreds of miles, it became a focal point for military strategy. These lakes were strategic infrastructure. In a desert of rock and ice, whoever controlled the water and the passes of Ghizer held the key to the entire region. When Taj Mughal invaded from northern Afghanistan, his arrival established the Ismaili faith as a cornerstone of the valley's social structure, a religious shift that persists today. By the 19th century, competition for these geographic choke points intensified. The Dogras of Kashmir invaded and seized the Yasin Valley specifically to control the movement through the mountain funnels. The rivalry between Britain and Russia, known as the Great Game, eventually reached these same passes. British interest in the valley was defensive. They established the Gilgit Agency in 1877 to turn Gizer's mountain passes into physical barricades against Russian expansion. This administrative structure lasted until the early 1970s, when Zulfikar Ali Bhutto abolished colonial regulations and established Ghizer as a modern district of Pakistan. From regional skirmishes to imperial standoffs, the centuries of conflict here were dictated by the unmoving reality of the topography. The empires eventually left, but the people they channeled into this corridor remained. Today, those distinct migrating groups live together in a unique cultural synthesis. The religious demographics reflect this history. Approximately 65% of the population belongs to the Ismaili sect, living alongside a Sunni minority. In the remote Ishkamon Valley, the Waki people still perform the Shirin Shell, a song of mourning that survives as one of the few pre-Islamic traditions in the region. Every July, at the Shandur Pass, the world's highest polo ground hosts thousands of spectators for a freestyle tournament. The festival reinterprets the region's history of cavalry movement into a celebration of horsemanship and endurance. In the silence of the Karakoram, the physical shape of the land forced disparate groups to inhabit the same narrow oases. The result is a cultural synthesis that could only exist at this specific topographical crossroads.